Hi guys. So many of you have been able to get AutoCAD installed on your computers. When you download and install AutoCAD, it's not going to look precisely the way that you see AutoCAD appear in the lab at school. So there's a couple of reasons for that. AutoCAD, depending on whether you've had AutoCAD installed before, there's a thing called migration of settings and so forth. Um, but at the school, keep in mind there are certain things we have to do to make sure that a student who is working on AutoCAD in one class does not isn't able to do certain customizations so that when a DS1 or a DS20 student comes in and sits down, it doesn't ever look different from what they're seeing in class. And so there's certain things that are locked down and so forth. Now, we do a few things in the way of customization. There are some customizations that you guys should know how to do. And so I'm going to give you some extra bonus AutoCAD information here that you otherwise wouldn't have received until your DS40 class. So if you've installed AutoCAD, it probably looks like this. There's a couple of things you're going to notice. First of all, this is not the tools that we're accustomed to seeing in our class. And that's because the workspace is a different workspace. Remember in DS1 we talked about workspaces being like a toolbox, and one toolbox has one set of tools and another toolbox has a different set of tools. Now each of those toolboxes do have some tools in common, line, circle, etc. However, we want to be able to access our 3D modeling tools, including our UCS, our visual styles, things of that nature. And so I'm going to walk you through a few things. So first things first, up here alongside the big red A, remember that this is called the Quick Access Toolbar. Now the Quick Access Toolbar, yours probably has more things than I'm seeing here. Mine has already been customized to some degree. We can adjust and customize what appears up here on our quick access toolbar. Some things you can't get rid of and some things you can. Some things you can add and some things you can't. So the easiest way to add something or take something away from the quick access toolbar is to drop down this tiny little drop down to the right. And when I drop that down, I see a list. And the things that are check marked are the things that are appearing on my quick access toolbar here, as you can see: undo, redo, open from web and mobile, save to web and mobile. Now, I've tried unsuccessfully in this version of software to get rid of open from web and mobile. I don't want that, but it won't let me remove those items. So I'm living with them right now. But one of the things I'm accustomed to seeing up here that we don't see on this installation of AutoCAD is my workspace switching tool. Now, without putting it up here on the quick access toolbar, workspace switching lives down here on my tool tray. Now, I can come down here and I can switch this. Okay, there's 3D modeling. Okay, Jared, there's your tools, your UCS, and so forth. Um, and normally I should be able to right click on this and have an option that says add this to the quick access toolbar. For some reason in 2019, that doesn't appear here. So I'm going to go back to that list and see if workspace appears on my list for options that can go onto that toolbar. And indeed it does. It's about 3/4 of the way down. I'm going to add workspace. Notice how that changes my quick access toolbar. And now my toolbox or workspace switching option is right up here on the quick access toolbar, as it is in the lab at school. Okay? Now, there's another tool up here that typically appears on my quick access toolbar, and that is my layer switching tool, which is this item here. Now you got to know where to find that thing, right? Where is it? Where is it? So in drafting and annotation, which is the two-dimensional toolbox, it's right on the main home ribbon, and you should be able to come onto it, right click, and go add to the quick access toolbar. But if, notice, I'm in 3D modeling, that thing isn't on the ribbon somewhere. In fact, I've got to come down here, I've got to open that, I've got to come to here and be able to find it here to add it to the quick access toolbar. So that is one of the things that's on my quick access toolbar list. Okay, so now I've got two of them. That's a problem. I'm going to remove one from the quick access toolbar. And so there I've got my 3D modeling and I've got my layers pull down in my quick access toolbar. Also keep in mind that workspace switching is what gives you the tool set that you're accustomed to seeing on the screen in the lab. Okay, a couple of other things. AutoCAD is going to default install these tools right here. I like to have those turned off. I don't want to be using ViewCube for what we do. Sometimes it interferes with our UCS and changes a UCS on me when I'm not expecting that, and that's disconcerting to me to not have the UCS that I want to have. One other thing, you might be seeing ViewCube within your workspace anyway. So if we come down here to options, that was the big red A and options. There is in 3D modeling, there's a display the ViewCube here, and AutoCAD made this install with those on there. And if those are on, this is what that looks like. You got this ViewCube thing, you got all this nonsense, all of this stuff going on here. This is all fine and good until I'm pulling flat shots, and I want to make sure that my top is in the top position, front is in the front position, right is in the right position, because that not happening means that I've broken glass box and I get a 0 on a drawing. So I like to have that off for you guys. So again, to turn that off, it's big red A, options. It's on the 3D modeling tab here, and it's the display the ViewCube options, and I turn both of those off. Sorry, I didn't put my phone on silent before class. Okay, so there's a few things for you. Now, a couple of things about your command line. AutoCAD in the last couple of versions has been shipping with the command line kind of floating in outer space here with a bunch of weirdnesses going on. So if I grab that, like you can make your command line go wherever you want. You also can use the stretcher to make it show as much as you want. The way that we have it set up in the lab is we have it set up to show 3 lines of information. And then I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull it as if I'm going to put it on top of my tool tray down there. And it's going to suddenly switch like that and go full with just this little ghost showing you where it's going to go. I'm going to let go and it's going to basically dock it. Now, it didn't quite get three lines, so you can stretch that even after it's docked. That's called docking when I place that down there. A couple of other things that we do customize as well is you're used to giving direct input, not dynamic input. AutoCAD has tons and tons and tons of features, so many that like I don't think there's an AutoCAD user on the planet that knows about all of them. And so in the lab, we try to keep it very simple. We try to keep it very basic. And in doing so, it makes it so that any version of AutoCAD you can sit down and run. But AutoCAD recently has been shipping with an item called dynamic input turned on. And so what you might see is you might see that as you're drawing lines and as you're doing things, there's a little box following your cursor with number inputs. You could turn that off. I hate that thing. It makes me crazy. But it's up to you if you like it or whether you don't. Make sure you give me an accurate, perfect drawing. And so I'm going to show you where to turn that on and off. So on your tool tray, the very last item after the speedometer and everything else, you've got these 3 bar lines. If I hover there, it says customization. I'm going to pop that open. And I just want you guys to take a look at what I currently have checked and what I don't have checked. because this is how your setup is set up in the lab. We have model space, grid, snap mode, ortho mode, polar tracking, object snap tracking, 2D object snap, line weight, dynamic UCS, annotation scale, and workspace switching. Now, what these little check boxes are is these check boxes directly map to the items you see on the tool tray down here. So model space, grid, snap, ortho, polar tracking, etc. So if I turn one of these on, it's going to add it down there to my tool tray. And the one that AutoCAD ships on often that I don't like is called dynamic input. So if I turn this on, I expect it to pop up between my snap and my ortho. Okay, so if I turn that on, there it is. It pops up between my snap and my ortho. Now, that's the little dude that follows you around. So if I turn that on and I start a line, notice that now I've got these little guys that are following me around all over. So that's how you turn them off. It's dynamic input. You can leave it on your toolbar and just turn it off if you don't like it. If you don't want to see it on the toolbar, again, come to your customization and simply turn it off. Okay. Um, I think for the most part, that's the majority of what you're going to do. Keep in mind that when you do start an AutoCAD session, make sure you're using the template that I've provided to you, because there are a few settings that I have set in that template also that you're used to having set in the lab at school. Things like solid history and those sorts of things that need to be on for solid modeling are set up within that template, that file automatically brings some of those settings in with them. So make sure you're using the template, make a few adjustments. And if you guys have questions on this, or you're seeing something odd, take a screen snip or a screenshot and document the problems that you have. Keep track of the things you need help with. Take screenshots. There's a neat product called Screencast, and I'll post a link to that. That's the software that I'm using to capture the information here. It's free to you. You could download it on your computer, and you could, if you're having problems with something, you could actually capture a screencast and mail me the link. And then I can pull it open and I can look at it and I can give you some direct feedback on that.